5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello friends, we're today visited by Professor Rajendra P from ASEAN Institute of Technology in Thailand. He also is adjunct professor in Departemen Geografi Universitas Negeri Malang. Hello Professor Rajendra, how are you today?
Hello, Listyo.
Hello.
Thank you for receiving me.
Yep. Prof. Rajendra, may I ask you about your background of study and why you love to study, to learn more about agriculture, more about remote sensing, GIS, and also climate actually for your expertise.
Thank you for the question. I think these are very important area. I basically studied agriculture in my undergrad study. I am originally from Nepal, but I got a scholarship to study agriculture in India because Nepal is the agriculture-based country. So I wanted to do something, contribute in agriculture. That is how I study agriculture. Then when I come back and work, I got opportunity to study master's degree in Thailand, where I am working. It was about the natural resource management because I want to relate to agriculture with the natural resources. The reason being, around that time in early 90s, globally we were talking about the environmental management. The need of environmental management was there because natural resources were depleted. It was in 1992, there was a big global conference on UNC, the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. So this is how I'm attracted to relate agriculture, land use, soil with the resource conservation and resource management. Now around that time, Asia didn't have much development on the remote sensing GIS, but the technology started to come around that time. And that was the reason because agriculture expands in very vast area where it is similarly natural resource, for example, forest. And it is very difficult to study by other method. But remote sensing and GIS, remote sensing is the big picture where you can see many things around what is going on. This is how I thought, and I was interested to study remote sensing because you can cover the vast area like agriculture, forest, through the remote sensing. And then come the GIS because GIS is the decision-making tool. It is very powerful in making decision under uncertainty.
I think our listener not only come from a geography or a science field, but it's broadly come from the other subject. So how to deliver the message actually come from the environmental science point of view, like you said previously, you come from Nepali and then go to India and then go to Thailand and right now in Indonesia. Actually, you find a lot of people that connect with your background of study and also not relate with your background of study. And my question is how to make the other understand about our situation of our Earth right now, which is we are combating with the climate change situation right now.
The reason because why they are important today, we are facing multiple problems and they are beyond the boundaries. For example, the one you just mentioned about the climate change, it is not limited to any country or any province but elsewhere. Now this kind of technologies offers the mapping, monitoring of the phenomenon, for example, the land use, land cover like agriculture, forestry or climate change, which expands in larger area. So they are a very good tool of monitoring to understand what is going on, what has happened in the past, so that by knowing that, the land cover or a trend of the resources used, we can better plan for the future. This is how they are very helpful in our decision making process, in planning.
Yeah. Following question. How do you think we can improve the reliability in detecting land cover change? Actually, in the case of Indonesia, that we are, in some big islands in Indonesia, where the landscape is very dynamic, but because of the natural cause and anthropological causes. I mean, how to make the people can mitigate every single triggering factor to the climate change, in your point of view?
Yes, so far the application of this technology are concerned, we need to understand the limitation also. They have the strength because it helps in large scale monitoring, knowing the past, modeling the future, okay? But there are also limitation, means they are subjected to some of the problems, especially in case of Indonesia, where there are a lot of smaller islands, there are a lot of geographic variation,
Yep.
the elevation and so on, lot of different mosaic of landscape, like there is agriculture, small forest and something. So we need to be using the proper resolution of the remote sensing data. Usually if the remote sensing is coarse resolution, it is useful in the uniform large area. But if there is a diversity and lot of dynamics, as you mentioned, we need to have the high temporal, means frequent accessibility of remote sensing, large scale data. But also there are other challenges. For example, Indonesia lies in the tropical region.
Yeah.
And especially during rainy season, there is a lot of cloud. So when there is a cloud, the optical remote sensing, it doesn't give the good result. But there are technology, there is like microwave remote sensing, or recently there has been a lot of development in drone or UAV.
Yep.
So this kind of technology can be used specifically in the problematic areas. Covering whole Indonesia as such a big country,
Yep.
using drone and UAV may not be possible. But where there is a high dynamic areas, frequent change going on, so there is a potential to use this technology, including high resolution remote sensing, to capture the all these anthropogenic regions, of the land use issues or other resource related issues. Yes.
Yeah, Prof. Rajendra, you have mentioned about the recent technology about UAV or drone that also related to Indonesia situation, that so many big island. I think the recent technology is LiDAR. How do you think about the LiDAR? Since in Indonesia, I think it's very, very pricey for us to provide this technology. But in the near future, I think the technology can be neglected. That every single person who work close with remote sensing should be using that. What is your opinion about that related to the recent technology of the remote sensing, like a LiDAR, related to the Indonesia? Since I think Indonesia is very challenging about that situation. In one side, we have a big or abundance of problem dealing with the land use, land cover, and the other side, we are not ready how to provide the current technology about remote sensing.
Yeah, that's true, because technology has its potential and its strength. So certainly LiDAR technology is also useful. Okay, so it is not that one technology or one set of data will be able to help all the problems. So it is a combination of technology we need to be using depending on the issues and situation. But what we also need to remember that use of technology need the skill set. Use of technology need the proper facilities and infrastructure. So accordingly, we also need to invest, means we need to prepare the human capacity who are well versed, who know how to use properly, because technology will not know which is right and which is wrong. It is the human capacity to use the technology properly to produce the right result. So along with the technology, we also need to think about developing the human resources to utilize this technology to aid into our planning purpose.
May I compare between China, India, Indonesia? That China and India, they have big land masses, and I think related to your opinion previously, their people right now the intelligence is increase. And how about how to solve or how to relate with a situation in Indonesia that is archipelagic countries still have how to say under the education or the advance of remote sensing and GIS. Possibly we are so like that, but the rising of technology, India and China, they are coping well about that. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think there are many fronts needed. It is the government's priorities and how much effort government is putting, and also the need, and also preparing the society, the academia, the researcher preparing. Like that's true that India and China, they are putting a lot of effort in developing the technology, particularly on remote sensing related. They do have their own satellite system. Technology is needed when you expect there is a lot of frequent changes. If there is no change at all, we know there is nothing happening, there is no need of monitoring. Okay, so the context could be different where, for example, in India and China, there is a huge area under agriculture. Unlike compared to the Indonesia,
Yep.
they are the big area is dedicated under the agriculture, where the need of land use monitoring is, for example, much higher. And that is also the government commitment to develop the technology on that front. But it's both government and the society being prepared.
It's very interesting, Professor Rajendra, that you mentioned about the agriculture. How about the future agriculture? That right now in Indonesia context actually, I think so many youngsters leaving the agriculture sector, but in the other countries like in China possibly or in India, they use the emerging of technology to help how to increase the producing something for planting actually, for harvesting. And in your opinion, what will be happen in the future if the youngster leaving the agricultural sector?
Yeah, that is very, very important question, because it's happening everywhere. It's not only in Indonesia. There is less and less interest on agriculture in every countries. Maybe because it is hard work to do in agriculture. But this is very important in the sense that there is estimate in the next 20-30 years, globally we need to produce 75% more food. 75% more food. Now, if you look at the data for last 60 years, the agricultural area growth in terms of the area, it is very low, maybe some 7% growth. But in 60 years, the population has grown a lot. Even in case of Indonesia, I think agricultural area growth may be some 130% in last 60 years, but the population has grown more than 200%. And also the lifestyle, the purchasing power have increased, so people are consuming more. So there is actually, your question is very, very important. On one hand, we have the challenge of meeting the agricultural food production and demand. On the other hand, we are losing the labor or the manpower in agriculture. So I think this is a very worrisome, and people have been trying, in the lack of labor, they are implementing the technology, for example, drone technology, for the spraying, for seeding, and so on. So in my opinion, I think you need to create some kind of incentives
That's nice.
for the younger, youth people to attract to the agricultural sector. So this is something I think every government should start doing it. That how do we add value in the occupation like agriculture? Okay, so that is very, very important. Yes.
Very interesting, Professor Rajendra. Several times when I read some reports, right now the increase of fail in harvest due to the climate change is also rising. How about that? And relating to the food security, relating to the food productivity, in the next future, will be any revolution industry era like 5 something or 6 something that will be revealed or will be encouraged, how to say, the people needed to the production of farming, to the production of agricultural sector like that. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the people are already started to think in this line, especially the issue of food security. Like, there has been a lot of effort to change in the farming practices. Like agriculture take a lot of land area. So there is a concept of the vertical farming where you use little land area but you put the vertically. Okay, there is also concept of like in urban farming, urban forestry, and even changing the diet. Like people are working to produce the artificial meat. So that means people prefer to eat the meat, but that is prepared artificially, not from the
For vegetarian, that's
right, yes,
suitable, I think.
yes, yeah. This is actually issue from the ecological importance, because in the food chain or the food wave, ecologically, eating meat has a lot of energy being used and ecological damage. But to satisfy the taste of the people,
it will be happier, healthier also.
And also it is less damaging to the ecosystem.
Nice.
So it is using less water, less land, less energy. So the ecosystem will be damaged less.
So we should underline about that, how to preserve the ecosystem right now by using the people did actually.
Right. Yeah. That is actually I want to add. That is the big emphasis priority. For example, this year, this decade, 2021 to 2030, is declared as the UN decade of ecosystem restoration. So that means the global society have been putting a lot of emphasis on the ecosystem restoration, knowing that there has been a lot of human causes damaging our ecosystem and even climate change, because mostly climate change is referred as the anthropogenic region, causing the climate change.
Professor Rajendra, maybe this for the last question, how we cannot deeply in that agriculture first and then climate and then remote sensing and GIS is very, very important, not only for the scientists, for the geography, but for whole of the people in the earth, that they should be understand how to preserve our earth for our future better Earth?
Yeah, they are all interconnected, whether it is climate or the agriculture or forestry, other resource system, they are connected. Now, the technology is for the purpose of addressing these issues and managing them for the longer term, what we refer as the sustainability. Because the science says, the evidence says, the relative damage by the human cause to the planet resources is only in the recent past. Earth system is very long. Earth is believed to be more than 4 billion years old. But the big damage now, converting to climate change, and there are many other global change issues, is mainly referred to last few hundred years. Now the issue is, if this is the rate of damage we are causing to our planetary Earth resource system, then we have very less resources to survive in the future. So that is the whole concept of the sustainable development. We enjoy the resource system now, so we keep the resources intact for our future generation to enjoy the resources also. And they also again should keep for their future generation. So all these technologies, whether it's remote sensing or GIS or the drone, or now these days, we talk about AI, data science.
Nice.
We need to put all this together for the best decision making, and that is where their role is very important in managing our resource system, including the climate change. For example, we may be able to understand how the climate change impact will be there in the future, so that we are better prepared to deal with the likely impact in the future. This is how I think we need to understand the technology. Today we are using a lot of this technology knowing unknowingly. For example, Google Map.
Yeah.
These are the remote sensing GIS technology, right? We are using even in our daily life. So this can be used for the cause of agriculture, for the cause of climate change also very well.
Thank you so much, Prof. Rajendra, for your insightful knowledge, experience about how the development about remote sensing, about GIS, about agricultural sector, and also about the climate change. In the end, you also talking about how the EA role in the future induce with people how to make the decision. I think it's very interesting, and possibly in the next future we will have another series for our session like that. So thank you so much for your coming.
Thank you. I look forward to it, and thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Rajendra. Oh, yeah.